Good. Okay, Boker Tov. Good morning, everyone. We are starting today at 4182 in the article. That's Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, second wide line on the page. Omar Rav Chanan, left column on the English side on the bottom. We were dealing up until now, right? Last week we ended off with the concept of a warning, and the warning has to be given right away. This was right before. It has to be given with clearly. They have to accept the warning. So comes now, Amar Rav Chanan. Rav Chanan is going to give an interesting case. Amar Rav Chanan. Ede Na'ara HaMe'orasa Shehuzmu. Okay. Na'ara HaMe'orasa. What is that? Na'ara is a 12-year-old. She stays in Na'ara until she's 12 and a half. Me'orasa is what we would call engagement, but it's really more than just what we do today when we give a ring and say that we're engaged. It's actually legally binding, and they're legally married in all sense, except they cannot be intimate with each other. They have to wait for nisuin, marriage, for that to happen. Today, we do erev sinvin nisuin. We do the kiddushin, the engagement, and the chuppah together, all under the chuppah. But back in the olden days, it was done in stages, about a year apart. So she's married. In the engagement stage, so she's not together with her husband yet, and Adam come and say that she was with another man. Since she's legally married, if she's going to be with another man, she's hayav mita. She's subject to the death penalty. Then they find out that these witnesses were huzmu. They were proven false through hazama, meaning they said that they saw her with another man. And then two witnesses come and say, you guys couldn't have been there because you were with us somewhere else when that happened. So Edim will want to say that Nara Hamorasa was with another man. And then they were found to be Edim Zomimim. We do not kill them. Usually we would do to them what they try to do to another, right? And what would be the punishment for the woman if she was found guilty, right? If their testimony would have stood. She would have been killed. So you would think they should also get killed. Rav Chanan says, ain't arguing, we don't kill them. Why? Because they could say, we didn't come to kill her. That's not why we came. We didn't come to give testimony to kill her. All we wanted to do is to make her asur to her husband. If for whatever reason we cannot kill the woman, whatever technicality it is, she does still become asur to her husband and to the person that she is accused to be with. So they can say, we just came to asur her. We didn't want to prohibit her to her husband. We didn't want to come and kill her. That's why you can't kill us, because our intention was not to kill her. So you have to do to us like we did to her, and we never wanted to kill her. So Gemara says, whoa, how can you even say that the Aiden didn't want to kill her? They had to give her a warning, right? When the story was happening, they had to give her a warning. What warning did they give? They had to give her a warning saying that you're about to commit the crime of adultery and the punishment is so and so. So obviously they told her about the punishment of death, right? So you can't say they didn't come to kill her, they just came to prohibit her to her husband. So Rav Chanan answers, the law atruba. I'm talking about a case that they did not warn her. Morris says, what? What type of case is this if we're not warning her? You have to warn her. How else can you punish her? So the Gemara says, Be'isha chaveira. Rav Chanan is dealing with a knowledgeable woman. Okay? Now, halacha l'ma'aseh, we give warning to everybody, even if they're a Talmud Chacham. But there is an opinion, and we're going to see it right now. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Chaver ain't tzarech hatra. You don't have to give a learned person a warning. Why? What's the whole reason for the warning? The whole reason we give a warning is to distinguish between a shogeg, a accident, and a intentional sin, right? A deliberate sin, right? What you want to know if they subject to punishment. So by giving them a warning, you know for sure that they are doing it deliberately, they're doing it intentionally, and this way they're going to be hayab, the actual punishment. But a scholar, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda wants to say, a scholar already knows all the halachot. You don't have to. You don't have to tell him a warning. Our Chacham is saying you do have to tell a scholar a warning, because even though he knows the halacha, perhaps he doesn't know the circumstances. For example, he knows you're not allowed to cook on Shabbat, but maybe he forgot that today was Shabbat. Maybe he didn't know that today was Shabbat, or whatever the story is. So therefore, you still have to give a warning. According to Chacham, you have to give a warning to everybody. According to Yosef Yehuda, you don't need a warning. So very good. So now you have a case where the Edom never gave her a warning. They came to Beit Din and they told them that she was with another man. Then they find out that these Edom are false. And they want to kill the Edom. They say, no, you can't kill them. Why? Because they can say, we never came to kill her. We came to make her asur to her husband. As such, you cannot kill us. And how do you know you didn't come to kill her? Because we never gave her a warning. Why did you give her a warning? Because she is a scholarly woman. She's a knowledgeable woman. Now the Gemara says, 1 second, this whole edut of theirs is not good. Lo Shema Edut. The Gemara says there's a problem with their testimony. Why? We already know that in order for testimony to be considered valid, it has to be subject to Hazama. It has to be subject to Hazama. That's why you have to know where and when and where. In order for some other agent to come and say you couldn't have been there because you were with us. But more than that, it has to be able to do to them what they wanted to do to someone else. And here, how could you ever kill the woman based on their testimony? Because you're saying you can't kill them because they could say, oh, we only came to answer her. So let's say the Ein Zayim didn't come. What would happen? Or let's say the other two witnesses didn't come to say that they were somewhere else. What would be? These two witnesses came and said she was with another man that you would think to kill her. But hold on, can you really kill her? You can't kill them. If you can't kill them, if they turn to be false, because they can say they have an out and they can say, oh, we just came to us or her husband, to her husband. So then we shouldn't be able to kill her. Mark says, you're right. You're right. This is the answer. Because you can't kill them, the two witnesses, because they can come and say, in this case, where she's a scholarly woman and they didn't have to give a warning, and they can say, we didn't come to kill her. Rather, we came to make her also to her husband. So too, you cannot kill her. Because if you would kill her, it would be testimony that cannot be done to the witnesses. It wouldn't be subject to hazama. So come out at this point that if you had, according to Rabbi Hanan, in the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, that if you had a scholarly woman and she was with another man, the two witnesses saw her and they never gave her a warning because she's scholarly, she doesn't need a warning according to their opinion, and they come to Beit Din and they tell Beit Din that she was with another man, all that they can do is make her usher to her husband. They cannot kill her because they cannot get killed, because they can say we never came to kill her, rather we came to make her usher. And that's where it ends. Now the Gemara asks the question on this, Ilvisha Chavera, the Kamalan, that makes the Lali with the Yehuda, Heichi Mishkachet La. The Torah tells us that if a woman does adultery, she's Chayab Mitah. So according to this opinion of Rav Hanan in Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, when do you ever have a case when you would kill her? Because the witnesses can always say, we came to answer her, so you can't kill them, you can't kill her. So when do you have it that you kill her? When? when she committed adultery, and then she committed it a second time. Why? So what's happening? Well, let's say she's married to Tom, okay, and she is the witness to be with John. All right, so John, she's with John. So witnesses come and say she was with John. Oh, so what are they going to say? We only came to make her also to her husband and to this John guy, right? And so it's the halacha. She comes also to her husband and to the guy that she was with. So now she commits adultery again. The witnesses, the second time they come, they cannot say we came to answer her. She's already also to her husband, and she's already also to her paramour, to the person that she was committing it with. So they only could have come for one reason, to kill her. Oh, so that's the case when she can be killed, and that's the case when they can be killed. So the Gemara says, well, hold on. No, she wasn't with the same guy. She was with another guy, and we came to make her usher to the third guy. Okay, so case, she's married to Tom, and she's with John. So the first I didn't come and say she's with John. Okay, you didn't come to kill her, you came to usher her, right? Then she's with Jerry. Now they come and they say, oh, she's with Jerry. So you can't kill them either because they can say, oh, we came to make her usher to her second, the second person that she was committing adultery with. So when can you kill her? If she was with the same guy again, right? Because if she was the same guy again, then when the witnesses come, they didn't come to answer her a second time around because she's already answered to her husband and to the person that she was with. So they must have come to give testimony to have her killed. Inami, or another case, shazinta mikroveha. If she committed adultery with one of her close relatives that she's not allowed to be with, because then you didn't answer her to her close relative because she's already answered to her close relative, and you already made her answer to her husband. So the second time around that she committed adultery with the relative, you didn't come to answer the relative because the rest of the relatives already answered. So you must have come. The witnesses must have come to get her killed, and then they would be subject to being killed as well when they give a false testimony that was proven Gazan. So just to review it on the outside, Rab Hanan came and said there is a case where Adam can give testimony about a woman, an engaged woman, and say that she was with another man, and they don't get killed. And we were very surprised with this. How can this be? They said, oh, this is a case about an Isha Chavera. She's a woman who's knowledgeable, so you didn't have to give her warning. But you didn't have to give her a warning. So what do they come for? So they came to they're going to say we came to asa her, not to kill her. Gemara says she didn't come to kill her, right? So because you can't kill them now, so then you can't kill her. Gemara says you're right, you can't kill her because you can't kill them because they can say we came to asa her, so you can't kill her either. So Gemara's question was, when would it be a case that you could kill her? Oh, when she committed adultery twice. Because the first time the witnesses came, they came to asa her. That's what they can say. So therefore, you can't kill her, you can't kill them. The second time around, she's already asa to her husband and to this guy. So she did it again with the same guy, or she did it again with the relatives who she's asa to the second time around. Then she would be put to death because they now would also have no other choice but to say they came to kill her. They can't say we came to asa because she's already asa to them. But if she was with another man, then they technically could say we didn't come to kill her, we came to answer her to that second man. Okay. Why did the Gemara choose the language of an Na'ara me'orasa, a engaged woman, a betrothed Na'ara, 12-year-old? Why such a language? I feel in the Su'anami. The same dinim, the same laws apply to a married woman. No chilik there's no differentiation between an engaged and a married woman with these cases. Gemara says, ain't it's true, but we wanted to teach you a special finish. Why? What's the chidush here? We want to say the chidush is as follows. Because when they're engaged, they are not allowed to be together. So perhaps she's already considered usher to her husband because they're not together. So maybe they cannot say, the witnesses cannot say we came to answer her, but she's not allowed to be with her husband yet. But no, we're saying that they could come and say that. Even in this case, they can say we didn't mean to kill her. We just meant to make her asur, which her potential heter to her husband, make that asur to her, to them. So that's why they chose it, because it's a chiddush that even though they're not allowed to be together, still they can say we came to asur her to her husband. Okay. Next sugya. Next topic. Amar Rav Chizda. So we're going to come into now the topic of the bedikot, right? So we had chakiros; those were the when and where questions that we already dealt with. Now we're going to deal with the supplementary questions. So you want to find out exactly what happened. Rav Chizda says there's two categories of supplementary questions. There's something that we're going to call guf ha'edut. It is the body of the testimony, meaning it's really the material of you need to know this in order for the case to proceed, right? And these are very important questions. And then you have other questions, and those are not so important. So let's take a look. Because we said in the Mishnah, just remember, we said in the Mishnah that if there is a contradictory statement between the two witnesses, if it's by the Chakirot, it's canceled right away. And Bedikot also it's canceled. So he wants to say that's true to a certain extent. So one witness says the murder weapon was a sword. The other witness says the war weapon was an axe or some other weapon. Ein zen nachon. Pasuk says emet ben nachon. It's not nachon. It's not the right testimony. Therefore, the whole thing is batel. The edut is batel. What about echad amar kelev shechurim, ve'echad amar kelev levanim? One says the man who killed, he was wearing black. And the other man, Selwyn, says the man who killed the murderer was wearing white. The testimony stands. So Rav Chizda differentiates between the murder weapon, which is how the person died, and what the person was wearing, which is not so important. Therefore, they messed up over there. Testimony still stands. Whereas the main phrase is true, nachon, nachon. The Brighton says it has to be correct. Echad or beside hargo, the echad or by read hargo. One says he killed with a sword, the other one says he killed with an axe. If they messed it up, so it becomes bottle. Echad or mikhail shacharin, echad or mikhail levanim. One says the clothing was black, one says the clothing was white. Ain't zet nachon. It's not proper, and the testimony does not stand. He goes against Rav Chizda. Chizda says, nope, it does stand with me. Why? Because this is not asking about what the clothing he was wearing. Rather, the murder weapon was a handkerchief or some sheet or something, a scarf that he strangulated the person with. So now we want to know what color it was. It's the murder weapon. It's like a knife or a battle axe. So you have to get it right. Toshma. One witness says it was black shoes, and the other one says it was white shoes. It's not proper testimony, becomes bottle, but according to Chizda, maybe it's not important. Therefore, it should be okay. Chizda is going to explain this follow-up. No, the shoes was the murder weapon. He kicked the person to death. So now you have to know what color the shoe was. So it's the guf ha'idut is the main body of the testimony. Tashma. Challenging again, coming here. Ma'aseh uvadik ben Zakkai be'uktzei te'ena. In our Mishnah, it said that Ben Zakkai asked bedikot questions about the stems of the figs. Now, obviously, the stem of the fig is not a murder weapon. No, you don't know the case. Someone cut off a fig on Shabbat from the tree. Now, the akakav miktel, since he's going to be executed for that mechalel Shabbat, so then the fig is very important to know what it looks like. Morris says, what? That's not the case. We learned in the Braita that they told Ben Zakkai the accused killed someone under a fig tree. So obviously, it is a case of murder, not about Shabbat. So, you know what Rav Chizda was asking? He was asking about the branch, the shoot of a fig tree that was used as a murder weapon. That's what he was asking about. Where it says Tashma, that's not what he was asking. Come listen to the case. Amrlahen, Teina Zo, Uktea Zakin, Uktea Gasin, Teinim Shachoret, Teinim Livanot. Ben Zakkai's questions wasn't on the branches or something that you can kill with. His question was on the stems of the fig, whether they thin, were they thick, were they black, were they white, and if the witnesses messed up in that, then he would invalidate the whole testimony. So Ben Zakkai is clearly against Rav Chizda. He doesn't learn Rav Chizda. Rabbi Yosef says you're right. Ben Zakkai relative in Ish. You can't go against Ben Zakkai, meaning Shani Ben Zakkai is different. He compares bidikot to the chakirot completely. If you messed up in any part of the bidikot, the whole thing gets thrown out. So you have a machloket, Rav Chizda and Ben Zakkai. Halacha l'maaseh, that's a machloket rishonim. You have the Rambam on one side, you have the Ran on the other side, and who do you paskin like? Who do you paskin like? I'm not sure. It's a machloket rishonim, way the halacha goes. If we would follow the Rambam, I believe the Rambam holds not like Rav Chizda. He holds like Ben Zakkai. Okay, man Ben Zakkai. Who is Ben Zakkai? So Elim Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai. If you want to say Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai, you want to say Ben Zakkai, Yochanan Ben Zakkai, can it possibly be me Hava Sanhedrin? Was Ben Zakkai on the Sanhedrin, right? To have dealt with capital punishment cases. Tanya was told to write up all the years of Yochanan Ben Zakkai's life for 120. And what did he do? Arba'im Shana Asak B Rakmatyah. The 41st years of his life, he engaged in business. Arba'im Shana Lamad. For the next 40 years, he was learning. Arba'im Shana Limaid. The last 40 years, he was teaching. But Tanya, and we're still on another writer. Arba'im Shana Kum Churban Abayit. 40 years before the destruction of the temple, the second temple. Galta Sanhedrin v'Yashul b'Chanut. The Sanhedrin left the Lishkat HaGazit, the chamber of hewed stone, and instead they went to the Chanut. There was a marketplace, according to some, at the foot of the Temple Mount, and Sanhedrin exiled itself to that place. At that point, they stopped dealing with penalty cases. Mara says, "What? You think they stopped dealing with penalty cases? No, that they still did. That they still dealt with. They did not judge capital cases. The reason the Gemara in Masechta explains why they did that is because there was way too many murderers happening at that time, and the Sanhedrin couldn't have dealt with it anymore. So they left Lishkat HaGazit. And according to Rashi, once they left Lishkat HaGazit, they could no longer deal with capital punishment cases. So all that happened before the 40 years of the 40 years before the destruction. Uchnan, and we learned that when the Beis Mikdash was destroyed, Rav Yochanan Ben Zakkai was then a leader, and he was making takanot. He was hitkin. He made certain decrees. So when did he do decrees as a rabbi? He did it after the Churban, which was, and that means for 40 years prior to the Churban, there was no cases of dinei nefashot. So it couldn't have been Ben Zakkai on the Beit Din dealing with this case, because he's only after the Beit Din was destroyed, and for 40 years beforehand, he wasn't part of it, and there was no capital punishment cases. So he would have had to be 41 years, but he wasn't, because he was only teaching for the last 40. So Ela Ben Zakkai, rather there's another Ben Zakkai. It also makes sense. The Sakadat Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, call it Rebbe ben Zakkai. Because if you think it's Rebbe ben Zakkai, they should call him Rebbe. They didn't call him Rebbe, just said ben Zakkai. Must be there's some other ben Zakkai. Gemara says, no. Tanya. But we have a writer that says, says the same story, and it says that Yochanan ben Zakkai. So how could you have a case? Yochanan ben Zakkai dealing with capital punishment. For 40 years, there was no capital punishment before the Qurban, and you see him active as a rabbi after the Qurban. He was a Talmud. We already learned that there were students sitting in the bedrooms. And Ben Zakkai was sitting there for Amar Milta, and he said a word, and the rabbis liked his argument. So they said it in his name. Why he was still learning. Ben Zakkai, they called him Ben Zakkai. He was a student, they didn't call him Yochanan, they called him Ben Zakkai. When they taught him, when he taught him, when he became a rabbi, then they call him Yochanan ben Zakkai. So in our Mishnah, they call him Ben Zakkai because that's when it happened when he was still a student. The Braita that says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Shem Dehashta. Braita talks about him and says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is just giving him the title that he has now, but the story is about the same person. Okay, moving along up to the next sugya. We had in the Mishnah said that if one of the witnesses says, I don't know, so dealing with Chakirot, no good. You need to have both of them to know everything. But you deal with Bidikot, the Mishnah said, one witness says, I don't know, the testimony stands. And then the Mishnah said, if two people say, I don't know, the testimony still stands. So at this point, the Gemara says, what do you mean if two people say they don't know, it still stands? Shita. I don't even mission to tell me this is Pashit. Why? One person says, I don't know. The second person says, what he knows, he's an aid echad. He's one witness. And we never listen to one witness. We need two witnesses. So he's a one witness for that. So we're not going to listen to him anyway. So once one doesn't know, we already know if two say, I don't know. And even if he does say, we don't listen to him. So I don't need the mission to tell me when the two of them say, I don't know, we don't listen to them. Shita, it's obvious. If one says, I don't know, the Eidut is still Kayemet. Nami. Of course, it's still going to stand. So, Amar Ram Sheshit. Okay, we gotta, if the Mishnah said it, it's coming to teach something else. Aresha Koi. It's coming to teach on the first part, on the Chakirot. What is it coming to teach? Special case. If three witnesses come in, okay, you only need two witnesses, but three come together as a group. And two say everything and they know all the answers, and the one then says, I don't know. What happens at that time? Do we compare the two to the three and say they're one unit? And if one of them doesn't know, the whole thing becomes batal, chakiros? Or do we say, no, we listen to the two? So he wants to say, Amar Sheshet, we'll do it again. Aresh Shekai is talking about the first part, about chakiros. The hachikar, about chakirot, about the 7 questions. If two of them says, Yadana, we know all the answers. And one says, I don't know. The edut will be batel. Who is this going? Like, that's Rabbi Akiva. Come on, Rabbi Akiva. Like Rabbi Akiva, Masechta Makot, that says the mark is shalosh shnayim. You press 2, 2, 3, 2, 2. Pairs them in one unit. Amarava. Rava says, what? That's not what our Mishnah says. Our Mishnah says edutun kayemet. If two say I don't know, it's the edut is going to be kayemet. It's going to stand. Now you're saying that means two I know and one says I don't know, but the Mishnah said that the testimony stands. Elam Rava hachigam. Afril about chakiros, even by chakiros. Shnayim from Yidan two say I know. Any of them. One says I don't know. Edutun kayemet. We look at the two. I mean, don't look at the third guy. Kiman, who does go according to? The like Rabbi Akiva does not go like Rabbi Akiva. I believe the Rambam paskins like this, that we do not hold like Rabbi Akiva. And if two know what they're talking about, and the third one doesn't, we listen to the two. Okay. Next piece. Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana, Rav Safra. Tell us Sanhedrin, Rabbi. Rav Kahana, Rav Safra were learning Masechta Sanhedrin in the yeshiva of Rabbi. Paga Bahu Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama meets them. And he says to them, My Amartu Ba Sanhedrin de Be Rabbi. What are you learning in the Sanhedrin of Be Rabbi, Rabbi's yeshiva? What are you learning there about Masechta Sanhedrin? Amrulay, they said to him, Oma Amrina about Sanhedrin Gerezita. And if we were to learn the Sanhedrin ourselves, what would we have said? My Kashilach, what do you want to know? What's the difficult? What do you want to know? So Amr he said, I have this question. We said in the Mishnah, what's the difference between Chakirot Levidikot? Chakirot Echad Amrini Dea Eid Mitzvah. By Chakirot, if one of them says, right, if two witnesses come, and one of them say, I don't know, the whole thing becomes bottom. Bedikot Amar Echad and Yudea, but a Bedikot, if one says, I don't know, but Philish Naibam and two of them say, I don't know, Edit and Kayem, the Edit stands Mikdi. Either right. Both of these questions both of the set of questions are Doraita. Because with Chaki, what we already proved. Bidikot, because it says Emet Menachon, you have to have proper testimony. That's why he asked all these supplementary questions. So Mashna Chakirot, Mashna Bidikot. Why, when Chakirot comes, you say one of them says, I don't know, the whole thing becomes bottle. And why the other one, by Bidikot, and one says, I don't know, the case still sticks, even though both of them say, I don't know. So I'm relaying. So the answer, I'll tell you why. The Chakiros, when it comes to the when and where. Because you can't make it hazama, you can't make them false witnesses if you don't tell you when and where. In order to make someone false witnesses, you have to say the when and where. And we already know testimony that is not subject to hazama is not considered testimony. So therefore, if they say, I don't know, you don't have a when and where. Therefore, the whole thing becomes batel. But when it comes to supplementary questions, the Edut says why? Because it's still possible to make hazama, because you know the when and where. So if you don't know the when and where, you cannot make hazama, so therefore the Edut is batel, because it's not good Edut. But by bedikot, the not questions of when and where. Therefore, if you mess up, if you say I don't know, then it's still ka yamed. Amar lahu, and Rachama tells them, ihachi amartuba. If you said this about Masechta Sanhedrin, tuva amartuba. You said amazing. Amar le, they said to him, because of your goodness, we were able to tell you a good stuff about Sanhedrin. But if you would have been bitter and critical, we wouldn't have been able to tell you even one explanation. So they're basically saying you had a good way about you. So we're able to tell you some halachot, and you accepted it, and you didn't question it. That's why it's good. But if you would have questioned it, you would have become critical. It wouldn't have told you anything, and nothing would have worked for you. Okay, so I think we already explained this in the past that the chakiro vadikot, the difference is the when and where is very important because you need hazama, and you cannot have testimony being kosher unless it is subject to hazama. And in order to make hazama, you have to have the when and the where. Vadikot not. Vadikot just establishes what. And if you say I don't know what the what, then it still sticks. Okay. Now, part of the Mishnah said that if they messed up in the days, one said it happened on the second day of the month, the other one said it happened on the third day of the month, we said the testimony stands. And the reason was, we said, because maybe one of them didn't know that the last month was full, the last month was short, and that's why some Hebrew months are 29 days, 30 days. So they didn't know when Rosh Chodesh was, therefore they made a mistake. So Gemara asks now, Ad Kama, until how much? Until how much? How much into the month? Do we say they still don't know? So Amar Acha Bar Chanina, Amar Ba'atzi, Amar B'Yochanan, Ad Ruba Shol Chodesh, until the majority of the month, so about 15 days in, right? Because by then, usually people are going to know, and then they'll be able to fix it up. So if one came and said it happened on the 21st, and one said it happened on the 22nd, then we'll say that the edut is contradictory, and therefore we can't accept it. But if they came and said it's second or third, or fourth or fifth, sixth or seventh, or whatever it is, then we will accept it because maybe they didn't hear about when Rosh Chodesh was. Amarava, oh no, Nabi Tanina. Maybe we can prove this also from our Mishnah. Why? Echad Amr Bishloisha, Echad Amr Behei. The one said it on the third, and one said it on the fifth, right? Edutim Betila. We say the Edut is Batel. Why do we say it's Batel? Say maybe one knows that there were 2 full months, and that's why he's up to the third. This one doesn't know there were 2 full months. That's why he's up to the fifth. And La Mishum, the Veruba Yoda. It must be because once half the month passes, everybody knows. Therefore, you cannot be off by 2 days. Because you cannot say you don't know about 2 months. Which is not necessarily that's the case. Maybe people don't know halfway through the month. Even through halfway through the month, they don't know. But the reason why they can't make a mistake with 3, 3, and 5, meaning 2 months off, because Ushupura Yada. Because they used to blow shofar every Rosh Chodesh. It could be that he made a mistake with 1 shofar. He didn't hear it, he didn't know it, whatever it was. But 2 shofar blowing 2 months in a row, you can't say he messed it up. Therefore, the third and the fifth doesn't work. The third and the fourth, maybe even the 21st and the 22nd would still be. But I believe the halacha is like Rabbi Chanim bar Amar Besi, Amar Yochanan, that up until half the month. Once past the month, half the month passed, if they made a mistake in the day, then the testimony will not stand because they should have known already when Rosh Chodesh is. Most people would know when Rosh Chodesh was. I started the next piece in Shul, just we can start it and then we'll go back to it anyway next week. So let's just take a look. Now the Gemara starts about Birkat HaLevana, about the bracha of the moon, Kiddush Levana, that we make once a month. Until how long can you make a bracha on the new moon? It says, until the moon becomes full. What does this mean? Nekama. Amr Yaakov bar Idi, Amr Yehuda, ad Shiva, until the 7th day. Okay, that's it becomes half full, becomes like a half a moon at that time. Nahadra Amr ad Shisha Asar. And Nahadra, they said, up until the 16th, not including the 16th. The Tarvayu, Rabbi Yochanan and Sviru, both of them hold the Rabbi Yochanan. One says half like a half moon, and the other one says half like a sieve, like a round object. We'll talk about it again. We'll talk about it again next week. The Ramah Pano wants to learn the Gemara that says 7th and 16th is not arguing with each other. Rather, Shiva means when you can start, and the Hadre, when they said 16th, that is when you end. However, that's not the consensus of most halachic authorities. Most Rishonim, the Ram and the Rashi, they say that a person can start saying Birkat HaLevana already on the first night. Rabbeinu Yonah says no, you have to wait 3 nights because at least that's when the moon starts to get a little bigger. You can get some hana from it. You can use it more. Ashkenazim go with that approach, like Rabbeinu Yonah, and they will start saying Kiddush Levana already on the 3rd night. Us Sfardim, based on the Zohar, the Arizal, very makbid, and Shchai, very makbid not to stay Kiddush Levana until the 7th night. And that's when you can start saying Kiddush Levana. However, there are some Sfardim, of course, Chavavaji also brings this down, that if it's in the winter month and you're scared, you might not be able to say it on the 7th, and you want to say it on the 3rd, you do have what to rely on ready after the 3rd, especially in the winter months. Now, all this, by the way, we're saying the 7th is not from when Rosh Chodesh is. People get this confused all the time. I think it starts from Rosh Chodesh. No, it does not start from Rosh Chodesh. It starts from the Molad. Every month has a Molad. The Molad is when the moon starts anew. Sometimes it's before Rosh Chodesh, sometimes it's on Rosh Chodesh, sometimes it's the day after Rosh Chodesh. All this talking about from the Molad. So you have to know when the Molad is. Some shuls announce when the Molad is when they do Haskarat Rosh Chodesh. It's important to know when the molad is, because that's how you're going to know when you can start saying Gishman, when you have to stop. So again, we hold that you should start at the 7th. Chabad says that if it's not 7 full days from when the new moon was, and it's Moshe Shabbat, it's a few hours off, it's okay. You can say it in the winter months if you need. You can say it already from the 3rd, like Rabbeinu Yonah, 3 days from the new month. No one says you can say it on the 1st. I mean, Rambam and Rashi say it, but no one in the post can say you can do that. How much do you have until? Okay, so here we said until the 16th. I mean the whole 15th day. So you have 15 full days from the new moon. So that's about, if you do 15 times 24. So let me just do 15 times 24. 15 times 24. That's 360 hours from the molad. Okay, so you calculate when the molad is, and 15 full days from when the molad is. 24 hours, you do 15 times. That's according to the Ramah, it's not 15 full days, rather it's 14 full days, 14 times 24. So 336 plus 18 hours will get you to 354. So according to the Ramah, you have 6 hours less. 6 hours less to say. So Ashkenazim have 6 hours less to say Kiddush Lamona than Sfaradim have. There is another opinion that says no, 16th is included. When the Nahydre say the 16th, it's not that they're saying until the 16th, rather with the 16th. Therefore, you would have another 24 hours. So you have 360 plus 24. You would have 384 hours to say it. Halacha Maisa, we do not hold like that. We do not go to the next 24 hours. We go up to 360 hours from the molad. Okay, next week we'll show some diagrams and we'll talk a little bit more on halacha in this. But for today, that would be it. If there are any questions, I'll take it at this time. Otherwise, Shavuot Tov.